Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Landskrona once again, just a little bit to the north of me here in Lund in Skåne in the very south of Sweden. And we're going to return to quite a familiar brewery, but we've got something from a different series that I've never tried anything from today. So very curious to see what this one throws up. So we're going to go back to Brekeriet, who, as I've told you many a time, are Sweden's kind of sour beer specialists, if you like. They're the only brewery in Sweden I know of that completely specialise in wild ales, sour beers, however you want to call them. And this time we're having a taste of something from their Vild series. So this one is called the Vild Lilac. It's described as a beer that's been aged for a long time in oak barrels and mixed with house cultures and hand-picked lilac flowers. So it should be very interesting. Comes in at 5.4% ABV, and I guess for the moment that is all you really need to know about that. But really looking forward to this one, very curious about what it's going to throw up. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Brekeriet before. No doubt I will add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brekeriet then. So as I told you before, Brekeriet were originally based in Brekeriet, just outside of Malmö, but they're now based in Landskrona, which is kind of halfway between Helsingborg and Malmö to the south. But the company was founded back in 2011 by the Ek brothers. So this is Fredrik, Christian and Andre, and they're a specialist brewery in wild beers using, or sour beers, however you want to call them, using Brettanomyces and Lactobacillus. But they were the first brewery in Sweden to do this, and they remain the only brewery in Sweden that is completely specialised in this particular field of brewing. Although there are Temple Brewhus up in Uppsala who do quite a lot of sour beers, and Örebro Brewhus are also doing quite a few Berliner Weisses and things like that as well. So you might want to check those out as well if you're a fan of sour beers. But the original brewery was actually in an old brew house, an old commune brew house for the farmers in Brekeriet, which was pretty cool. But they brewed their first beers there back in 2012, and this brewery had a very modest capacity of only 500 litres per brew, which gave them a yearly capacity of around 38,000 litres. As of 2015, they've got a new brewery in Landskrona, and they can produce 20 hectolitres of beer per brew, and they now have a fermentation capacity of 80 hectolitres. Apparently they produced their wild bunch beers continuously in Landskrona at the start, and all of their beers are now produced there, but for a while they were producing their sour patch beers and speciality one-off beers in Brekeriet. But as I say, I think all of their production now has moved up to Landskrona. But in 2014, this brewery caused a little bit of a stir because they decided to withdraw completely from Systembolaget in Sweden, which is the monopoly, the government monopoly on alcohol here, and they cited the bureaucracy of the nationalised system as the main cause of this, and they decided to focus on their exports abroad. And it was for a period of time you could only get their beers, I think, in the supermarkets, the ones that were below the 3.5% required for a Folksöl, and you could only get them over in Copenhagen and things like that as well. But since 2016 their beers have returned to Systembolaget, and there seems to have not been any more hiccups in that regard. So it is cool to have the local brewery back in Systembolaget, of course, because it was, when I first moved here, I really wanted to try one of these sour beers because I'd heard very, very good things about them, but I just couldn't get a hold of them for love nor money. So it really is good that these guys have sorted out that issue and got back into Systembolaget. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Brekeriet. Like I say, to sum up this brewery, Sweden's kind of sour beer specialists, if you like. So yeah, if you want a Skåne sour beer, definitely check these guys out. So yeah, if you want to read a little bit more about these guys, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. They are quite active on there, and they are quite a prolific brewery as well. They're always experimenting a little bit and trying different things. But if you're into your sour beers, I really recommend that you check them out. But anyway, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So like I said to you, this one is a 5.4% sour beer. This one, it doesn't say if it's a Berliner Weiss or anything like that, it just says a sour beer. And it says on the side here, Lilac is part of our Vild series, fermented and aged for a long time in oak barrels with mixed house cultures and hand-picked lilac flowers. So yeah, Should be really quite interesting. This was one of 2 Vild beers that were released in the small partiers on the 7th of September. So I did get the other one as well, which I think was called Mashush or something like that, or Fresh Mashush, or Vild Mashush, something like that it was called. But yeah, this one should be really interesting. I do like that little label that they have on this. This one has a slightly different bottle cap from the other Brekeriet ones, of course, and it does, I don't know if you can see it on the video, but there is actually a cork in this bottle. So yeah, we'll need to see how we get on with actually opening this one. So let's give it a go and see how we get on. So yeah, and there is the cork underneath. So let's just see how we get on with that. It's always one of these things when you're doing beer reviews. When it comes to actually opening beers that have corks, it can always be a disaster waiting to happen. So let's just see how we get on with this. Just try and dig the thing in. Doesn't actually want to grip it. I think that's it right through now, so let's just see how we get on with this. Yeah. No, not quite, not quite. Not quite. Still a little bit more apparently. And is that us? Yeah, there we go, finally. So yeah, oh, you can smell some of the nice flowers and stuff off that. Got cork all over my desk now. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get it into the glass. This bottle incidentally is only a 375ml one, so it's not actually that much bigger than the regular ones that you'll get from Brekeriet. But yeah, that looks good. So yeah, as you can see with this one, it's poured a nice hazy bright yellow colour. Just look at that. Very bright and yellow, almost the same as you'd expect from an IPA or something like this, or just a kind of saison. There's a solid finger of a frothy white head on that one. There's a little touch of sediment just going into at the top there. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see it is quite opaque, this beer. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, it does look pretty nice, and it looks pretty much as you would kind of expect from a sour beer. But yeah, let's take a look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one then. Oh, yeah. So this one has a little bit of a kind of doughy, bready sort of presence to it. Definitely a little bit of that wheaty quality. It's almost got a little bit of a rye or something to it. There is a little bit of a cereally, kind of grainy kind of thing going on with this beer. Yeah, definitely a sort of wheaty, bready kind of thing. A little bit of rye, like I said, too. It's got a little bit of a kind of almost biscuity sweetness to it as well, which is interesting. There is a little bit of something sweet in there, but on top of that, of course, you can get that sort of sharp, sherbety lemon sort of thing that you would expect from the Brettanomyces or Lactobacillus. I'm not sure exactly which one they've put in this one. It usually tells you on the side actually what ones they've put in. No, this one it doesn't actually. But yeah, no, it says, I was right actually, it says they've added some rye to this beer. I'm glad that my nose was picking that up. A little bit of wheat in this one, and it says barley as well. So yeah, it doesn't say which one of the 2 cultures, if it's Lactobacillus or Brettanomyces that they've used in this one. I would hazard a guess that it's both, because I think they like to use a little bit of both when it comes to their beers at Brekeriet. But yeah, as I say, a little bit of that sharp, tart lemon quality to the beer. And it's got a nice kind of grassy element to it as well. It's that sour lemony note that I'm talking about mixes in quite well with the kind of grassy aspects of the beer. And it's got a little touch of earthiness. You know, you can smell the lilacs in this. It has this slightly bigger floral presence, and it's almost just a little bit kind of spicy, I would say, as well. So it's quite different from the other ones that I've had from Brekeriet. I don't think there's too much doubt about that, to be honest. So yeah, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer, because it's a little bit more bready than some of the other ones I've had, like I said. It's got a little bit more of a cereal spice, and the way that the grassy and floral notes and stuff are coming out of this one is pretty nice as well. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma for yourself before you get stuck in. But let's have a taste of this one now. So this one is the Vild Lilac from Brekeriet in Landskrona in Skåne here in the south of Sweden. Let's get stuck into this one. Slange, skål. Ooh. That's quite unusual actually. It's a lot... It's actually, I mean, compared to some of the other ones I've had from Brekeriet, this one is, it's a little bit more vinous, if that makes sense. It's got a lot more, it's got a little bit more of a kind of puckering to it, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's almost like the sour elements of this beer are just a little bit more kind of, I don't know how you say it, it's just got a little bit more of that mouth-watering quality about it, if that makes sense. This way the sourness comes out in this one just makes your whole palate a little bit wetter. It's just a little bit sharper, if that makes sense. It is nice, I like what they're doing with this beer, it really is quite good. I do remember when I first tried sour beers, and I was like, you know, what the hell is this? But really, it's really been Brekeriet and some of the other ones that have got me to actually like this style. But you will come across some of these things every so often where you're like, you know, where it really does surprise you. And for me, this one's just a little bit sharper than I'm used to compared to some of the other sour beers I've had. But it really is nicely done, so I'll give a thumbs up to Brekeriet for this one. But what I will say about this beer is you need to take a few sips of it to fully get what's going on with this one. But yeah, it's nice. I like with this one. This one has a little bit more of a malty presence to it, which is quite nice. Once your mouth fully adjusts to the sourness of the beer, you start to get the the bready notes and the malt base coming out just that little bit more. I mean, by no means is this beer a Berliner Weiss or something like that, but it definitely has a little bit more of a malty quality to it, and I do like that about this one. So you can feel that just blanket in the middle of your palate there. On top, the wheaty quality, it turns out and it actually becomes quite sweet. As you go further into the aftertaste, you can pick out just a little bit of the rye flavour there, but it really is the slightly sweeter malty quality that just blankets the middle of your palate. I want to say there's a little touch of a biscuity sweetness right in the centre of the tongue too, which is nice. And what I would say about this beer too is that it's not overly complex, but it's one of these ones that is just really well done. You can tell it's barrel aged as well, because if you just go towards the front of your palate, it's almost got a little touch of a kind of vanilla quality to it. You can really get a little bit of that oaky vanilla flavour if you just go towards the front of the palate, just before where you get that little oily bubble, where you get the fruity esters coming out of the beer. But on the hoppy side of things, in the back corners of the palate, a little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, it smooths out a little bit. There's maybe a little tiny bit of herbal quality. And then at the front corners of the palate, it's a little bit more floral, and it's not a spicy floral quality, but it's quite a fresh floral quality, if that makes sense. Floral aromaticity. Then round the very front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say. And of course, just inside of that, that's where you get the nice sharpness, that lemony sherbet tartness that you would expect from the Lactobacillus or Brettanomyces, whichever one or whichever ones of that they've used in this beer. But it's interesting because, you know, they've added lilacs to this beer. I can't say I've ever eaten a lilac right enough, but you can detect with this one, if you just go in from the sides of your palate, it's not quite spicy, but you can detect this sort of floral quality to the beer, and it's not the same as the kind of floral aromaticity that you get from the hops. It's almost like a little bit, it's almost got the same feel to it as lemongrass, but it's a little bit more almost, it's not even quite perfumey. But if you just go behind the edges of your tongue around the front curve, that's where you're getting these lilac flavours. It's quite an unusual thing to describe. I know that in Taiwan, I remember we were eating some, you know, these fried flower things that were up there, and it really does remind me of that. It was these little orange flowers that grew on the side of the mountains in Taiwan that we were eating, and the flavour that you get out of this one really does remind me of that. As I say though, I've never eaten a lilac, so I can't really describe that flavour, but you'll notice with this beer that there is a sort of that unusual kind of floral note. It makes me, the taste of this almost makes me want to think of the aroma of potpourri. It's a really unusual thing to try and describe for you, but you can feel the sort of sherbety lemon things underneath it, and then as you go further and further into the aftertaste, you get this almost potpourri flavour. As I say, I've never eaten potpourri either, but the flavour that comes out of this beer really makes me think of that aroma, if you like, and it mixes very well with the sort of oaky vanilla notes in the beer too, which is really nice. But yeah, it really is. It's a nice beer, this. It's nice how everything goes together with it. Behind the front curve of the palate with this one, you get that little oily bubble, and that's where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And for me, this one is a little bit more along the lines of it's a kind of straight up sort of lemony, grassy type thing in terms of the fruity esters in this beer. This one for me, it's not the most kind of complex sour beer that you're going to come across. In terms of like being a barrel aged one and things like that, the flavours in this beer, I think, are very straight up, but that lilac flavour that's in it is really quite unusual. It really does work, actually. I'd love to try the original version of this and sort of compare them, because they do have one that isn't barrel aged, but the way that this one comes across is really nice, and I do suspect that the oaky woody flavours that come out of this beer really just add to it. But it's a very, very nice beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So, you know, have a go at this one for yourself and just see what you think. I think that lilac quality to the beer is quite unique. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say at the bottom end of mid-bodied, but then again, sour beers always are a little bit, just because of that kind of sharpness that you get from them. Carbonation is a little bit active in this one. It's got a nice little bit of a prickle to it. Overall, it's kind of a wet mouthfeel, but it does have some oily elements to it as well. The malt base has got some really nice sweetness to it, but overall it is quite smooth. A little bit of hoppy bitterness to this beer, nice bit of juicy fruit, and as I say, you've got that bit of kind of sharp tart quality from the lactobacillus and Brettanomyces in the beer as well. But overall, it is really nice. As I say, I would give a thumbs up to Brekeriet for this one, and I'm very curious to see what we get from the Mashush one, which is the other one that I've got in the fridge. So yeah, really interesting beer. Pardon me. If you get the chance to try this one, I definitely recommend that you have a go at it, because it is very, very interesting. But yeah, let's leave it at that. So this one was the Vild Lilac from Brekeriet in Landskrona in Skåne here in the south of Sweden. A really interesting beer, and as I say, I would like to try the original one of this to see what the barrel aging exactly has done to this beer. But really, really nice beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Brekeriet as well, and I will catch you guys very soon with more beer reviews. Check out my social media, make sure you check out Brekeriet's website and Facebook and things like that, and I will catch you guys later. The Vild Lilac from Brekeriet in Landskrona and Skåne in the south of Sweden. Until the next time, it's Lance just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Skål.